Would you just look at this? It's epic. In fact, I reckon the new Renault 5 E-Tech represents a turning point for the automotive industry. It marks the point where electric vehicles stopped being purely rational and started being chic and immensely desirable. Why? Well, Renault is playing with nostalgia, and almost everyone's heartstrings sing to that frequency. It's a faithful modernisation of the achingly cool Renault 5 Super Mini of the 70s, 80s and 90s, a car that still lives rent-free in the minds of petrol heads thanks to Renault's insane performance models such as the Turbo and the Gordini.
This new car's a little bit different because it's powered by electricity rather than petrol, but it still manages to capture the fun-loving spirit of its grandfather. To top it off, it's well made, decently equipped and reasonably priced. At the time of filming, the basic price of the entry-level 40 kilowatt model cost a fiver under £23,000. But you also now get an extra £1,500 off the cost of every Renault 5 thanks to the government's electric car grant.
In this video, I'll talk you through the strengths and weaknesses of the Renault 5's Practicality, show you around its cabin and tell you what it's like to drive before offering a definitive verdict. I'm Hope Ellen and this is another Parker's Cars review.
Before I get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you get reminded every time we post a new video. The entry-level EV40 model has a 40 kilowatt battery pack and a 120 horsepower electric motor. Renault says it has a maximum range of 192 miles and a 0 to 62 mph time of 9.0 seconds. More importantly, it'll take just under 4 hours to charge from 15 to 80% capacity using an average 7.4 kilowatt home wall box. Above that is the Renault 5 EV52, which has a larger 52 kilowatt battery pack and a punchier 150 horsepower electric motor. The extra battery capacity bumps up maximum range to 252 miles, while the added power slashes the car's 0 to 62 mph time down to 7.9 seconds. It'll take just over 5 hours to charge at home. Happily, when you do need to drive further afield, both cars are compatible with those DC rapid chargers that you find on service station forecourts. Connect to one of those and you can charge both batteries from 15 to 80% in half an hour. Plus, both cars come with a heat pump as standard for better efficiency in winter. Standard equipment is pretty generous too. Renault's entry-level Evolution trim is only available with the 120 horsepower motor, but it still comes with 18-inch alloys, LED headlights, a 10.1-inch infotainment system and safety tech such as lane assist, adaptive cruise control and rear automatic emergency braking. Mid-range techno cars are priced from £24,995. They build on this spec with a wireless smartphone charger, some snazzy recycled denim seat upholstery and a funky illuminated charge indicator on the bonnet. This is probably the sweet spot. The £26,995 iconic 5 gets niceties like a heated steering wheel, bright yellow seats and automatic parking assist. While the flagship £30,000 Roland Garros version, named after the French tennis tournament, gets a tennis racket handle for a gear selector and upholstery that's supposed to mimic sportswear.
Now, on to the interior. The Renault 5 really is a delight to be in, thanks to touches such as these wild yellow seats, unusual fabric headlining, and this racy steering wheel mounted drive mode selector. I also love how everything is angled towards me, the driver. It makes you feel special.
It doesn't just look great though, it works great too. Yes, almost everything in here runs off the touchscreen, but you still get physical buttons for the climate controls and a few extra switches on top of the screen to quickly adjust the stereo volume and turn the screen off at night when it's most distracting.
If I had to be critical, I'd say the Renault 5's missing that last 10% of polish that you'll get in the Mini Cooper Electric. Some of the plastics in here are noticeably cheaper, but it's far from being offensive.
It's comfortable too. The front seats are incredibly adjustable and they have a pleasing springiness to them that helps ward off fatigue on the odd occasion you need to take the car out of your home county. That's good for something that was designed primarily for the city.
And I'm sorry, but I need to spend some time talking about this. Renault have given the 5 a baguette holder. It slots onto the centre console. How French is that? Sadly, it's not standard. It's a £120 optional extra, but I reckon it might be worth it for comedy value alone. Bonjour! Renault hasn't quite nailed the 5's practicality. It's quite cramped back here, even for a small car, a fact that isn't helped by these small rear windows that block out a lot of the light into the rear of the cabin. It's made even worse if you go for a car that hasn't got bright yellow seats.
Legroom is at a premium, especially if you're sitting behind someone tall. Plus, if those ahead have their seat mounted in its lowest position, there won't be much space under it for your feet. If you need to carry 4 adults regularly, I'd recommend going for the larger Renault 4 instead.
Thankfully, Renault has made up for the lack of space back here by giving the 5 quite a big boot. You get 326 litres of space, which is 116 litres more than the Mini Cooper Electric and just 35 litres short of the Fiat Grande Panda.
Sadly, you don't get an under-bonnet storage area for your charging cables. You need to stash them under the boot floor, which can get annoying on a long road trip as you need to empty the boot every time you need to charge.
But at least the cabin storage is decent. The cup holder is big enough to hold a drinks can. There are small cubbies where you can empty your house keys and bank cards into, and the glove box is a good size. The door bins could be bigger though. They aren't wide enough to fit a 1 litre bottle of water, and they definitely can't fit this bad boy in. Before we see what the Renault 5 E-Tech is like on the road, we've got a quick usability test in the form of Hope's Car Olympics. Against the clock, I've got to fold down the rear seats so they are flat, tune in the radio to Absolute FM, and set the sat-nav to take me to Buckingham Palace. Let's go! Right, open this door first. Little hatch up here. 2 of the seats are down, we're gonna run around. Open this one. Right, pull this one down. That's all 3 seats, jump into the front. Woohoo! Right, sat-nav's up already, that's very handy for me. And it's Google. Right, Buckingham Palace. I've done a spelling error, but it corrected me, thank you very much. Start that, sorted there. Then we're gonna go ahead to the music, so radio. I could have gone there, I suppose. Oh, it's already on Absolute 80s, but I'll go on Absolute Radio. Volume. Oh, I want to prove myself, but I can't turn it up. Okay, so how did I find that? I really like the door handles on the rear, on the outside. Folding down the seats was relatively easy. However, if this seat at the front was a little bit further back, that would have been a struggle to get those flat. The infotainment system is pretty self-explanatory. However, it can be a little bit laggy. Overall though, I really enjoyed it.
Whatever practicality limitations the Renault 5 suffers from, it more than compensates for with its driving experience. This is a genuinely entertaining little car to drive with almost hot hatch-like handling and acceleration qualities.
I'm not going to lie and say it's as exciting as the Toyota GR Yaris or the Volkswagen Golf R, but you can have fun in it, especially when you turn on sport mode.
That firms up the steering and sharpens up the accelerator to make it feel a little more engaging and eager on a twisty road.
It doesn't have adaptive dampers, but the suspension is firm enough to keep the body flat when you're flinging it around corners. The trade-off is that the ride has been compromised and it can feel unsettled on rutted roads.
Getting back towards the positives, the Renault 5 has size on its side. It's small, relatively narrow, and it has a good turning circle, so you confidently steam down back streets that larger EVs would get wedged in. In normal mode, the steering is very lightweight too. It's a doddle to pedal around town.
The instant response of the electric motor means both versions of the car are quick off the mark. However, they do start to run out of steam when you get them away from the city and onto the open road. You have to plan overtakes more carefully than you would in, say, a Mini Cooper SE.
But if you'd like a bit more oomph from your Renault 5, Alpine, Renault's performance brand, has got you covered. It's built a faster version of the car called the A290. It's an homage to the original Renault 5 Alpine with an output of up to 220 horsepower and a 0 to 62 mph time of 6.4 seconds. It's also loaded with tech to make it steer and grip better than the standard 5. We've linked our review of the car in the comments below.
The Renault 5 EV40 is probably best reserved for city dwellers. Our real-world testing suggests you'll only get around 140 miles of range between charges, which is a long way from the 192 that Renault claims. If you need a small electric car that you can easily take on longer drives, you should opt for the EV52. It has a bit more power and a longer 180-mile real-world range, which means you won't have to plan long journeys quite as rigorously. As for trim levels, I recommend you go for the mid-range Techno model. It has all the equipment you really need and it isn't ludicrously expensive for an EV in this class. It's priced from £24,995 if you're paying cash or just under £220 per month if you take advantage of Renault's outstanding 0% APR PCP deal. To put these figures into perspective, the entry-level two-door Mini Cooper Electric is priced from £26,905, or the finance deals are around £30 per month more expensive, which means you're paying more for a less versatile car.
The Renault 5 is a fabulous little car. It looks fantastic, it's good fun to drive, it's well made, it has an incredibly attractive interior, and it's affordable, especially on finance. It's also packed with intelligent, easy-to-use technology.
Granted, it isn't quite perfect. The maximum driving range is a little disappointing. The rear seat space for adults is neat, and I would appreciate a bit more oomph at motorway speeds. But otherwise, it's a difficult car to fault. If you're looking for a small electric car, primarily to use locally, the Renault is pretty much the state of the art right now. I know you won't be disappointed with your purchase.
What do you reckon? Do you think you could make a Renault 5 fit into your lifestyle? Let us know in the comments section below. And stay tuned to Parker's channel for more review content soon.